Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Poland Daily Travel. We're in the studio, in the There's a Will studio, and we are talking to fine guests whom you will know from previous segments and from Poland Daily. In general, I have with me the inimitable. I'm not going to ask you what that means. I know what it means now.
You should have learned that.
It means
now,
unforgettable.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Well, it actually means can't be imitated, but I suppose it's the same thing, in a way.
I didn't know the definition then. I got it wrong again.
No,
anyway, Nicholas Richardson, no relation, and Mihoe Sano, also known as
Mihasha.
Mihasha. That's your name when you write for the newspapers.
Not newspaper. It's it's a.
You write online.
Magazine.
On what?
It's magazine, Japanese magazine.
Magazine, and you write for that. Do you also write online about Poland?
Yeah, it is online.
And this is all about Poland, what you're writing.
Not all about it. Sometimes I write about Poland and for Japanese media, but it should be connected to something with Japan.
Okay.
Otherwise, Japanese, the leaders are Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
I read in Japanese.
Okay, and what do you write about Poland?
Before I wrote about how Polish people who run a business is related to Japan, and also I wrote about a Japanese festival in Poland, and also the popular ramen shop in Poland, or something like that.
Ramen is very popular.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, we were talking about food. We were eating ponchkis in a previous installment, and you were talking about your family's tradition of sumo wrestling. We'll come back to that.
I didn't say.
You didn't?
No, that is your illusion.
What? I had dreamed that?
Yes.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
In the interval, I dreamed that?
Yes, of course.
I tell you, those ponchki are very powerful.
They are.
Oh, yes,
incredible.
yes.
Did you put some sake, secret sake in this?
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's full of secret sake. So what do you find that are the most interesting subjects, all silliness aside? We'll get back to silliness in a little while. But what do you find are the most interesting things to write about Poland? Or what compels you to write about Poland?
Actually, I want to PR Poland to Japanese, company or Japanese people, consumers. But it has to be, kind of technique, because just I wrote about Poland. It's good. It's not so attractive for Japanese people. Has to be more in technique.
Okay, so how do you capture? I'd like to know this too. We could learn something here too, couldn't we?
We could.
How do you? I've already learned a lot, but how do you go about attracting people's attention and getting them more interested in Poland? What are your techniques?
Because I know that how is the Japanese people, likes and Japanese people's needs, and I mix up.
Okay, so what do they like? What is some specific things that you do?
Japanese people likes, if they foreigner like Japanese.
So you say that Japan is popular in Poland?
Yes.
Yeah,
this kind of subject is Japanese people think, it's very impressive.
Okay, and what do Polish people like about Japan?
Yeah, I think the Polish people like Japan.
But what specifically do they like about Japan?
Before I asked you, I had an interview with some Polish people who run a business related to Japan, and they said Japan, for them, Japan is a kind of exotic. They don't have, it's far away from here.
Right.
So our culture is definitely different from European culture. So it's a kind of, exotic. That is one of the reasons, they said.
Japan is exotic, wouldn't you say, Nicholas?
Yeah, I've not been to Japan. But
it seems very exotic. I'd love to go to Japan. Wouldn't you like to go?
I would like to go, yeah.
Yes?
I would like to go.
I'd love to go, and see what it's all about. Yeah, but when you're, I know what I want to say. The films, Japanese films and art are very popular in Poland. And I think also Polish art and particularly poster art, and some films are very popular over time in Japan, in the post-war period, right?
Yeah. But I prefer Polish film.
You prefer Polish films to Japanese films?
Of course.
Why? Just
But because for me, Japanese film is just not so interesting for me. Polish film is more exotic or
No, and I think I understand that. We find the things that we don't know, they seem to be very attractive, that we don't know about. I remember I used to watch a lot of foreign films. And curiously enough, when I was in college, I would go and hide in the library and watch films from particularly Kurosawa of the Japanese, and particularly Andrzej Wajda from the Polish films. There were others, but mostly those two. So I knew, I was fascinated by them, and I thought, oh, well, gosh, I'll never be sitting in a studio in Warsaw talking to a lady from Tokyo about Kurosawa with, Cary Grant.
Yes.
Accompanying
But you
us.
are, you see.
I know, it
Your
happens.
lifetime ambition has been realized.
It's just crazy, isn't it? Row, row, row your boat. Merrily down the stream. What's the last part?
Can't remember.
I can't remember either. If you remember that last line, please, in the comments, just write in. And so what is your most memorable moment? Your most, I don't know, journalistic moment? Your most memorable moment in Poland? Is there something that happened that is extremely memorable to you? I forget.
You mean the dramatic or just for normal thing usual life or something?
Just, I mean, I can think of several things. For example, my first trip to Krakow, and then to the mountains, and then going on a wagon, and then getting out of the wagon and fainting near Morskie Oko, because after all the pollution, and maybe some of the vodka, the fresh air just knocked me out. I remember that as an intense memory. And then other things, interviewing people, things like that. But maybe you have some specific moment.
Yeah, I like Polish people still still having their own tradition. Like Wielkanoc, and they make
So this traditional days.
Yeah, traditional.
What is Wielkanoc?
It's Easter.
It's
Easter Sunday.
It's Easter to us. Yeah.
And
Easter Sunday.
Well, technically, yes, but Easter.
Yeah. When maybe first year I was here and first Easter over here, not second Easter. Yeah, whatever. I saw the young boy who looks like hey oh something like that. It's like hip hop
Hip hop person.
But
yeah.
he had
Hip-hopster.
a Easter basket.
That made you laugh?
Yes.
Because even though if you're a tough guy, if your mother tells you to go down to the church with the basket, you got to wear your chains and your tattoos.
Not
Because
like
mom
that.
said you
Not
got to go
like
leave the
that.
basket.
Not so much. But like
Not so much.
But he's a typical young guy.
Yeah. So tradition, because Poland is a traditional country.
It is.
This is something I think it really makes it stand out. And perhaps when we come back in the next installment, we'll talk about some traditions in Poland. The hula hoop is not one of those. We've got to talk about the hula hoop as well. So in the next edition, we will talk about some Polish traditions. And maybe we can tack on a little hula hoop on the end. What do you think?
Okay.
Okay. You have films, so we're gonna we'll put in some films of the hula hoop. Okay. For those of who didn't see you hula hooping on our Wilanów special Poland Daily Travel Edition. Okay, all right. Thanks for watching. I'm here in the studio with Michał Sano and Michał Sano and Nicholas Inimitable Richardson. Stay tuned for the next fantastic installment. Poland Daily Travel. Why do we do it? We do it for you.